Recently, we've seen some large government contracts being signed. Are you expecting more? We know an NHS contract could be in the pipeline and perhaps more from a NATO or Ukraine perspective. Also, potentially a $9 billion Department of Defense cloud contract. Well, it is certainly right that we have been seeing large contracts being signed, and it's been very impressive what Palantir has been able to pull off in September, ending out the third quarter for Palantir as we get those results in November. Now, here's a list of those contracts, and many of them have been with existing clientele, and it's really impressive what Palantir was able to do in the third quarter, but it does potentially indicate some seasonality when it comes to these types of government contracts, and some of them were pushed back from the second quarter when Palantir was unable to get the documentation in place and hit some of their growth targets then. So there was a bit of a buildup with these being rolled over to the third quarter. So it's worth keeping that in mind, as well as I wouldn't expect as much strength in the fourth quarter or the first quarter or the second quarter of next year, for instance. The third quarter of a given year tends to be when we see strength in government spending. And in terms of expecting more, I'm always expecting more from Palantir, because as their product continues to improve and as they're able to sell it better and better, I expect that to happen more and more. And the NHS contract, in terms of that, we had some exciting news that Palantir's opening a new UK base near the NHS digital headquarters just for that, doubling down on UK and specifically focusing on NHS. So I am very confident in Palantir getting the NHS contract and continuing to expand their work there. In terms of NATO and Ukraine, we'll just have to wait and see, as well as the $9 billion Department of Defense cloud contract and how that might get divvied up for Palantir. It's worth not getting ahead of ourselves here. Palantir has a lot to chew on right now, with almost $1 billion of new deal value, as we're seeing on the screen here. And I really think there is much more to come, but we did see some seasonal strength in the third quarter for Palantir, and there's potentially a lot more to come.